Once upon a time, in the whimsical world of Polandia, there existed two separate kingdoms, each inhabited by a single species. Felantopia ruled by cats, and Barkovia ruled by dogs. These kingdoms were separated by a wide river. On one side lay Felantopia, a realm of soft cushions, dangling toys and endless catnip fields. The majestic queen Whiskerella, a sleek Siamese with sapphire eyes, led Felantopia with grace and dignity. Her days were spent organizing balls, grooming her royal mane and plotting the demise of her nemesis, the dog kingdom. On the other side of the river stood Barkovia, a kingdom of squeaky toys. Endless dog biscuits and sprawling parks, perfect for fetching. General Barkstorm, a noble Saint Bernard, with a booming bark and an even bigger heart, commanded Barkovia with loyalty and fairness. His days consisted of leading training exercises, playing with the royal puppies, and devising plans to expand his kingdom's biscuit reserves. For many years, these two kingdoms coexisted separately, occasionally exchanging wary glances over the river. The Felantopians believed dogs to be nothing more than slobbering fools, while the Barkovians thought cats were conceited and overly dramatic creatures who spent their days napping and scheming. However, deep down, both species harbored a secret desire to understand and maybe even befriend the other. But tradition, pride, and fear kept them apart until one fateful day when everything changed. It was during the annual Interdimensional Dog Show, an event that attracted canines from all over the multiverse. General Barkstorm stood proudly beside his entry, a tiny chihuahua named Pipsqueak. Despite its size, Pipsqueak had an enormous personality and an even bigger dream to win the coveted title of Best in Show. As the competition heated up, Pipsqueak grew increasingly nervous. In a moment of panic, he broke free from his leash and bolted across the park, narrowly avoiding a collision with General Barkstorm. After him, barked the general, and a squad of his bravest soldiers gave chase. Meanwhile, Pipsqueak raced as fast as his little legs could carry him, desperate to hide from the general and the show. He darted across the river, not realizing it led directly into Felantopia. Suddenly he found himself surrounded by sleek, curious felines who regarded him with suspicion. Before Pipsqueak could utter a sound, the elite guard of Queen Whiskerella, known as the Claw Commanders, pounced on him, capturing him for trespassing in Felantopia. News of the captured dog reached Queen Whiskerella as she basked in a sunbeam, grooming her paws. Furious, she rose to her feet, her fur bristling with anger. A dog had invaded her territory, and she intended to teach them a lesson they wouldn't forget. She called for her royal advisor, a wise old Persian named Professor Mittens, to inform him of the situation. At the same time, General Barkstorm received word of Pipsqueak's capture and immediately assembled his elite squad, the Bone Brigade, known for their bravery and unwavering loyalty. Led by the fearless Doberman Pinscher, Sergeant Strongjow, they set off to rescue Pipsqueak and restore order between the two kingdoms. As night fell over Felantopia, the Claw Commanders prepared for battle. Queen Whiskerella, adorned in shining armor, addressed her troops. "Dogs have invaded our sacred land. They seek to steal our precious catnip and enslave us all. It is up to you, Claw Commanders, to defend our kingdom." With a flick of her tail, the battle commenced. The Felantopian army, agile and quick-witted, used their sharp claws and keen eyesight to attack from the shadows. The Barkavian army, larger and stronger, fought back with fierce determination, protecting their fallen comrades and advancing steadily towards the heart of Felantopia. Amidst the chaos and confusion, the armies clashed in a flurry of fur and fangs. The Felantopian archers, led by the cunning Tabitha, unleashed a volley of razor-sharp arrows that forced the dogs to scatter for cover. In response, the dogs counterattacked with bone-shaped projectiles that bounced off the feline soldiers, forcing them to take cover behind trees and bushes. As the battle raged on, both sides suffered losses, their numbers dwindling with each passing moment. Suddenly, amidst the chaos, a young kitten named Momo, small for her age but big in courage, found herself separated from the rest of the Claw Commanders. Scared but determined to help her fellow felines, Momo crept closer to the battle, hoping to find a way to support her comrades. What she saw next shocked her to the core. She noticed that some of the dog soldiers seemed hesitant to fight, their eyes filled with sadness rather than anger. Determined to understand what was happening, Momo snuck closer, her heart pounding in her chest. Just as she was about to make her move, she heard a voice. "Why are we doing this?" "Used to be friends," said a German shepherd, his head resting on his paws. Startled, Momo hid behind a bush, her ears perked with curiosity. "We've been taught to hate each other for so long that we've forgotten what it's like to be friends," replied a bulldog, his voice heavy with sadness. "I miss the days when we played together in the river without a care in the world," sighed the German shepherd. Overhearing their conversation, Momo realized that despite the ongoing battle, there was still hope for peace between the two kingdoms. Inspired by their words, she knew she had to do something to bring them back together. Gathering all her strength, Momo jumped onto a nearby rock and shouted, "Stop fighting! We don't have to do this!" The battle came to a standstill as both armies turned to look at the small kitten in amazement. With a deep breath, Momo continued, "I may be just a small kitten, but I know in my heart that we were meant to be friends. Why do we continue to fight?" Her words hung in the air, echoing through the silent battlefield. Slowly, the shock wore off, and the soldiers began to murmur amongst themselves, their gazes shifting from the kitten to their fellow soldiers and back again. The weight of Momo's words settled upon them, stirring feelings of unease and questioning the senselessness of the conflict. As if awakened from a dream, the soldiers began to lower their weapons, their movements hesitant yet determined. One by one, they set down their shields and sheathed their swords, the metallic clinking echoing the unspoken longing for peace that resided within them. The sight of the soldiers disarming gave Momo hope. Perhaps her words had planted a seed of understanding. Yet she knew that to truly end the conflict, she needed the support of the leaders of both armies. As if sensing her next move, Queen Whiskerella and General Barkstorm emerged from the shadows, their expressions grave and resolute. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the weight of generations of animosity hung between them. "Why have we allowed this madness to continue?" boomed General Barkstorm, his voice echoing the sentiments of his weary soldiers. Queen Whiskerella lowered her head, acknowledging the truth in his words. "I am ashamed that my pride has led us to this point. We are no better than those foolish dogs who fight for scraps," she hissed, her voice laced with regret. A wave of murmurs rippled through the assembled felines and canines. Realization dawning upon them the folly of their actions and the futility of their hatred. With newfound resolve, Queen Whiskerella and General Barkstorm extended a paw toward each other, their eyes reflecting the flickering flames of hope. "Let us end this madness and build a future where our children can live in harmony," said General Barkstorm, his voice filled with sincerity. Queen Whiskerella, tears glistening in her eyes, nodded in agreement. "Together, we will heal the wounds of the past and forge a new path for our people." And so it began, the healing of old wounds and the forging of an unbreakable bond between two species who had once been divided by hate. From that day forward, the lands of Felantopia and Barkovia were united, becoming a place where cats and dogs lived, played, and protected each other. The memory of Momo and Ruffy served as a guiding light, reminding them all that friendship and understanding can conquer even the deepest of divides. And so the tale of their unity echoed through the ages, carried on the winds that rustled the leaves and whispered through the tall grasses of their shared homeland, a testament to the power of peace and the beauty of unity.